One of the other aspects I think that has surprised people is everyone was predicting the recessions, the depressions, and the Black Fridays. Now it looks like Q2 is going to be a bonanza, 3-4% GDP print. But also it does feel like now that we're getting some of this economic data, people are starting to think very differently about the economy and what the rest of this year looks like.
Yeah, so we've talked about this before, but just to make the economy much simpler to kind of think about, let's just take the AI investment side, which is massive. What I think is happening is the AI portion of the economy is fueling the entire movement right now. So whatever percent of nominal GDP, I think AI is responsible for 75, 80, 90% of it. Between the CapEx from the hyperscalers, between, again, the profit margins for the S&P 500, which is at the expense of workers. It's at the expense of wages. It's at the expense of all of this stuff. What it leaves the median person in the country is in this point where we still have the inflation sitting at the levels that we did back from COVID. They haven't come down. Food prices haven't come down. Nothing has really come down at this point in any meaningful way. I think the median voter in the country is still suffering, I don't want to say a recession, but let's just say an environment where they can work, but they don't feel like they'll necessarily have the same job in a year. And I think that's the best way I can kind of frame this is everyone's worried about AI.
But his point was, we can sit here and try to measure all this stuff as much as we want. But if people are telling us, I can't afford to buy a home, I can't afford food, I can't afford gas, I can't afford all this stuff. And we're sitting there saying like, what do you mean? Americans are better off today than they've ever been. He's like, there is a point in time where you have to go actually listen to the people and understand why is it that half the country is saying one thing, but the data is telling us another thing. And it feels like that's what you're highlighting here, is that both things can be true at the same time.